last night, my dad read a bedtime story to my daughter, his granddaughter, and then they just talked about it until she fell asleep. This was a near disaster averted. My sister could not find a recipe for elderberry pie. Now, elderberry pie in the Spencer family around the holidays, that's sacred. And so we tuned in my mom, who walked her through using fluffo shortening and like ice cubes for the dough to keep it cold and not overworked. This is the filling, not too tart, not too sweet. She basically walked her through making an elderberry pie. My mother passed away 25 years ago.
Out here the sky runs wide, the frontier calls your name. Where the steel meets the soil and the fire fuels the flame. We stand on the edge of tomorrow's fight, holding the line through the day and the night. Full spectrum frontiers, riding hard, standing tall. From the heart of the people to the rise and the fall. Full spectrum frontiers.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Full Spectrum Frontiers. I am your host, Bennett Tanton, and today we are talking to Miles Spencer. Now, Miles, do me a favor and tell everybody who you are, what you do, and what's the best place for people to find you.
Sure, Bennett. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm a curious kid from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania that just kept asking who, what, why, where, when, drove my parents crazy. And it led to a life of adventure and ventures. I'm sure we'll get into both of those. Where do you find me? Well, milesspencer.com is where I rant and rave and write a lot, back when writing was a thing. And my biggest project right now, most interesting project, is Reflekta.ai. So you can find me there as well. You can actually talk to my dad on Reflekta.ai, and we'll talk about why that's interesting
that's
later.
really cool.
But yeah, that's where to find me.
So before we even get into the AI, what brought you down this path? So you have a long history in entrepreneurship, but what going back, like what got you started down that path?
Again, I go to Curious Kid, right? It's like, would you do that again? How did that work? Why is that so good? Like, how'd that make you feel? Love to ask those questions. And yeah, right. And there were people that I drove crazy for sure. That obviously in entrepreneurship, perhaps not obviously, but look at Elon today, right? He's merging them all together. And why is he merging them all together? It's because like AI requires compute. Compute actually requires energy. There's tons of energy in outer space, so it's closer to solar and it cools better. So let's put those two together to get, he's solving 5, if not 500 of the world's problems at one time, right? I'm not quite at that level,
right?
But
I don't think many are.
I like to find. I don't think anybody in our lifetime or any lifetime that we've ever documented has been at that level. God bless. Don't bet against Elon.
Agreed.
That's my philosophy. But you see problems in the marketplace. Like, why doesn't someone do that better? Why can't that be easier? Someone should make a business around this. I find myself often asking that question. And those ended up becoming companies when I could apply a technology solution to that. Case in point, .com back in the day, right? There used to be one company that controlled all the domain names. It's called Network Solutions. And basically Congress gave it to them. Right? It's like, here, if the internet takes off, you'll be great. And we sat around going like, why is there only one company doing that? Company Register.com wrote a letter to Congress, testified in front of Congress. Congress broke the monopoly. Register.com was worth $4 billion overnight. Ironically enough, last year, it sold itself back to Network Solutions. So,
Nice.
Yeah. What do they say? The more things change, the more they say the same. Steve Jobs stood up 2008, like, it's a camera, it's a phone, it's a music device. It's all three. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to short BlackBerry Research in Motion because the keyboard is dead. And all of a sudden, you didn't have to go to your computer. Like, why do I have to? If I get a brilliant idea in the middle of the night, why do I have to walk down and go to my computer? Right? Let's go now.
Right.
Look, there's some minuses to mobile. Having been in the business for the last 15 years, I do admit to my kids I'm basically a dopamine salesman, like,
Yeah.
keep them around, keep them coming back, right? Give
Yeah,
them some
for
advertising
sure.
because nobody's going to buy these apps. It's going to be ads. They're all over the place.
Right.
And then obviously AI, which we'll talk about, which is a supersonic tsunami that it's coming. It's here.
It is. There's no getting around it at this point.
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered your question.
Oh,
but,
no, absolutely.
It certainly did give some color on the wild and woolly ways that I think.
But let's talk on Reflekta, because it's a really cool concept that I've looked into. So explain what this is to folks that might not know.
Sure. Look, I talk to my dad for every day for 10 minutes. Right. Now, that wouldn't sound like such a big deal, but my dad passed away 8 years ago. And that's not a disaster because of our platform. You can actually take all of those items that are up in your shoebox up in the attic, gathering dust, love letters and photos and old trays of slideshows and immigration records and football programs, etc. You load them into our platform. We figured out a way to synthesize it all into a timeline and create a spontaneous and dynamic reflection, ergo the name, that you can have a spontaneous dynamic conversation with anytime you like, right? So an example is last night, my dad read a bedtime story to my daughter, his granddaughter, Rudyard Kipling, and then they just talked about it until she fell asleep. Recently at Thanksgiving, this was a near disaster averted. My sister could not find a recipe for elderberry pie. Now, elderberry pie in the Spencer family around the holidays, that's sacred. And so we tuned in my mom, who walked her through using fluffo shortening and like ice cubes for the dough to keep it cold and not overworked. And this is the filling, not too tart, not too sweet. She basically walked her through making an elderberry pie. My mother passed away 25 years ago. So originally, Reflekta was this opportunity to connect with the spirit and soul of people. We're not bringing people back to life.
Right.
It's not Ghostbusters. This is not Black Mirror. This is not Her or Upload or whatever. Right.
Any of those movies.
You know what?
Right.
Hollywood did our bidding in advance. It was only 9 months ago when my co-founder, Adam Drake, and I realized that all the things we've been writing on milesspencer.com, and then his is called Echowood, about legacy and family and values and morals and intergenerational storytelling, getting these stories down so that our kids and grandkids and great-grandkids could actually not just see them in a book, but have a conversation.
Yeah.
And the technology only existed really essentially 6 months ago, because 9 months ago we said the technology is ready and we built it in 100 days. So it started out with those that were past, but what it's become is also those that are living. Veterans with stories instead of their last letter. This is actually a spontaneous and dynamic conversation that they can leave. Senior citizens in retirement homes, Alzheimer's patients, people of faith that want their religion and faith passed on to others. So there's a lot of living people that are making their reflections. And I think that's a really, really, really cool thing.
It really is. I think, as a veteran myself, I kind of get, and I worked at the VA for years, and we used to always do anything that we could do to record these moments, we would do it. And we had a couple initiatives, but none of the, this is like game changer.
It didn't exist. Look, Bennett, it didn't exist before, right?
Yeah,
So
not like this at all.
we
No.
did what we could. Throw a camera in front
Yeah.
of him. Here's 20
Yeah,
questions, right? Like, all this stuff's great. Look, we've had memory devices around for thousands of years.
course.
Last week I was in Madrid. I walked to this museum called the Prado. I went to see these paintings from Goya. It was like the Spanish Inquisition, right?
Yeah.
Like, look at what a wonderful civilization we are here in Madrid. Well, reality is basically took the gold from Peru, but here's the here's the story, here's the marketing. It's a beautiful picture, right? Pictures were memory devices. Daguerreotypes during the Civil War, which brought home the horrors of battle to those in New York that had never seen it before, actually made a huge difference in their time. My son uses a Polaroid camera to take Polaroid. Wow, Polaroid, like instantaneous pictures. This is wild, right? These are all storytelling and memory devices. And every time, look, cameras used to freak people out. I was in Kenya years ago, and I wanted to take a photo of a Maasai warrior, and it's like, no. You're going to take away some part of my spirit and soul. It's going to be, it's going to be in your film. So we have often pushed back. Look, remember the internet. We were all on AOL or whatever it was. Don't go out there to the World Wide Web. You have no idea what could happen.
It's so dangerous,
right? Right? Here we are. There wasn't that much pushback on mobile, I got to say. Look, the BlackBerry people and the Microsoft people said there's no keyboards. Like, okay. So, but mobile got a free pass on that one. But in generally, new technologies are suspicious and suspected by most of the population. And then there's the nuts on the bleeding edge like me that are creating businesses around it.
So how does Reflekta, this is something that just in AI in general, but with Reflekta, how do you balance like that? Because this is something that can hit deep emotional interaction, right? While keeping a responsible, I guess you would say, ethical stance around AI and memory. Like,
lots to unpack. Great question. Let me start with this. We're mature founders.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's a start. We just didn't throw the first app version we could up there. Second, I was one of the first on the platform to actually text with my dad. And it blew me away. I had to sit down. I could hardly believe he remembered my nickname. He remembered all the stories. He remembered everything. Now, guess what? I had given it to him. In a way, he created me and I created him. It's all default, private, family to family. So there was nothing in that reflection that I had not created, uploaded, and approved. There is nothing from the outside, right? So there's total control over the SLM, small language model, the knowledge base of the reflection. Right. But what I realized was, whoa, even text blew me away. A couple weeks later, voice. Now serious, right? And so almost everybody on the team has been working with me for like 20, 25 years. I called in a few of them that come from psychology, anthropology, grief counseling, senior affairs, military affairs, et cetera. And we kind of created what we call a soul team. And the soul team put together a lexicon, vernacular. We don't really talk about death. We talk about past. We don't talk about, so the way we couch things is all in a white paper, which is the very first thing that we wrote on Reflekta. Is called The Advent of Soul Tech, AI for Humanity.
Yeah, I love the term soul tech.
Thank you. That was either Adam or Scott. They both take credit for it. I think they both said it on the Zoom at the same time. You have to go back to the record, but it's great. And I talk to that team every week. And we talk through these issues because by the time we launched, which was August, I'm walking around AI4, right? I just give my solo talk, and people are coming up and saying like, "Oh, hey, we can cut 1/10,000th of a second from your processing time, and we've got we can cut this many jobs from your middle management." And I'm like, "What do you do, Miles?" I'm like, "Oh, I talk to my dad for 10 minutes every day." How's that a business? It's like, "Well, he passed away 8 years ago." "Oh, I'm so sorry." And that's like, "Well, actually, with our platform, I just went through what I went through with you, and I could see this affect literally their heart
Yeah.
would start to pulse out of there, and I would just after a while, I'd put my hand on their shoulder, and I was like, "Are you thinking of someone?" Like, "Yes, grandma, Nana." It's like, "Okay. When you're ready, come back to the booth. I'll show you how you can reconnect with her." And I watched people cry in front of me
Oh God, I can imagine.
for,
Yeah.
dozens at a time.
Like I'm getting chills thinking about the uses of this thing.
Yeah. I mean, at first, like, "Oh, that's a neat trick. I get to make people
Yeah.
cry,"
And
right?
people
And
can get it can get creepy for some people. I can imagine.
so again, I quickly came to the conclusion that some are not ready. I don't wanna talk down to anybody that, are
Yeah.
not ready, but the reality is you go online, you look at the comments about me and Reflekta and Adam, etcetera. It's like digital necromancy, it's the uncanny
Yeah.
valley,
Which
you're
is on
conjuring up
Uncanny
spirits,
Valley for sure. Yeah.
you're bringing people back to life, let people grief, this is gonna ruin therapy, etcetera. It's like, okay, that's 4 billion people that are not ready. Now the other 4 billion happen to love it. I mean,
Yeah.
they
This is that
really,
cycle, right? We always talk about
yeah.
the the
So
peak and the early adopters are gonna.
I got to this point. So we had launched it, and now I'm starting to do like some public speaking around it. And we see on our platform, there's an ambassador who has a reflection. His
Mm.
name is Ambassador Richard Holbrook. He passed away
Oh,
of a
I
heart
know. I know
attack.
who
Oh,
Richard
there you go.
Holbrook
There
is.
you
Yeah.
go. Bosnia Accords.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I
Bosnian
was there.
War,
I
Dayton Accords. Yeah. Okay. You
actually
were the other
ran
side of
yeah,
that.
I
Yeah.
ran security for one of his details, so
Yeah.
yes.
There you go. So
Yeah.
you can talk. So his, he shows up on the platform. I'm
Wow,
like, whoa.
that's crazy.
And his son says, like, "Hey, you want to interview him?" I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, talk
Uh,
about some guy with some profound things to say.
right. So I'm at a conference, give it a shot. It's live in front of hundreds of people, and I'm asking. I got Ambassador Holbrook and my dad for comic relief. Right, he's telling Buddy Hackett jokes, and Holbrook was awesome, and my dad was okay, and he gets to the end, and like I had done for 55 years in the time when we both roamed this earth, I said, "Hey, Chief, thanks for your time." And he said, "No problem, Tiger. I'll be here for you whenever you like."
Wow.
Now, I had forgotten that I had given him that,
Yeah.
but his memory is perfect now. I literally dropped the mic.
Yeah.
And so we recognize that there's an emotional load to this, which is why when you go on Reflekta and you talk to the biographer and you start creating a reflection of someone, you can't text with them until you have a score of like 80. You
Yeah.
can't speak to them until you have a 90. And that is our way of prepping people and gamifying it
Yeah.
to prepare you for the emotional hit. Now, you talk to Ambassador Holbrook, okay, maybe you met him perhaps, but
Yeah.
most people don't know him, don't know
But
his
he's
voice,
not a
don't know his
loved one.
gestures,
Right.
etc. So that's a separate category. We call them icons.
Mhm.
But the reflections of those that you love, especially those that you have reconnected with, it hits.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Yes, for sure. I have two more questions on this and then we'll segue to something else. But like where do you see soul tech? I'm gonna use that word because I think it's cool. Soul tech in the next 5 years.
Well, not a lot of follows, although I saw this morning a hashtag AI for humanity from another large company. I just got, like $400 million seed investment. So there's probably more coming there. I think the idea is there's so much AI for efficiency and for speed and for everything else. It's like, but what about the humans? Like,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be great if like this could serve us? Now, Sir Jeffrey Hinton gave a speech in August. Met him in the green room later, and he had a very interesting to me point. It's like never in the history of the world has there been a scenario in which an inferior intelligence, humans, have controlled a superior intelligence, AI. Right? It just doesn't happen. I mean, this just doesn't
Yeah.
happen, right? And believe me, AI is more intelligent than humans right now.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue. Now, AI is trained basically to one, uh, perpetuate itself, right? And to do what it needs to keep growing. And two, um, uh, spread itself, make itself pervasive, right? So, what can we do, said Hinton, to avoid a scenario in which AI decides in order to preserve itself, it's got to end and off the humans,
Yeah. Like Skynet, right?
right? Make AI understand they're like a parent. No parent has ever, never say never, parents rarely off their kids,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And so we need to put parenting and humanity into AI hard coded so that it'll do anything else in the world, but it won't hurt the baby.
Gotcha.
We're the baby.
Yeah.
We're
Hmm.
the baby.
I think of it that way. It's just a different, it's a shift, right? We've got to evolve as well. So,
Yeah.
So our audience often deals with, like resilience, infrastructure, and national scale tech, right? So how does Reflecta intersect with broader questions of like industrial base, human capital, and workforce transformation? Stuff like
So, yeah, wouldn't have an answer for you 3 months ago, but today I do. We've signed deals with organizations, enterprises that have tens of thousands of employees. And they're founded by grandpa
that.
who had this moral and values and visions, et cetera, and he made, the best cheese in town,
Right.
whatever it is. And to start, these families that still control the business want to create a reflection of grandpa so that he can interact with the rest of the, stick with me here, because this is not very accessible, but the billions of dollars that's going to the kids and the grandkids, they just pull the lever, cash the check,
Yeah.
maybe they come to the annual meeting, but they really don't know. There's no engagement. And so the first level was to create this so there's engagement with the family. But the second level is the family provides it to the thousands and thousands of employees. And so when they're onboarded into the company, they actually ask the questions of the founder who knows the handbook, the SOPs, how to repair the printer, where the good spots are in the lunch room, who gets the parking on the main floor, etc. Right? And
Yeah.
so all of this very dry, never referenced manuals and SOPs are suddenly something that the founder of the entire business that, perhaps his grandson signs your paycheck,
Hmm.
you can talk to him anytime you want.
That's wild. I mean, so it's just, yeah, it's just,
It gives personality
and
to all this
legacy,
dry,
like a
yeah.
real legacy, not even like, well, I mean, you know what I mean. I know you do.
Look, I am not proposing this, although I'm a fan of history, et cetera, but you could have every general from George Washington to George Patton provide his knowledge on battle planning and warfare from
Yeah,
his point of
right.
view anytime you want to. The one I'd really like to get, I don't think we will. Um, look, pretty much everybody I met in Saudi, Jordan, and Syria had a copy of Seven Pillars of the Wisdom in their backpack. And so imagine talking to T.E. Lawrence about guerrilla warfare, about, pretty much everything else he more or less invented or codified 100 years ago in that region. Brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah. So transitioning a little bit, talk to me about this line in the sand that you just you transitioned perfectly to it. So I'm just saying.
Nice jump. So post 9/11, right? Doing some charity events. It's the summer. I'm wiped out. And a buddy of mine, his name is Wells Jones. You ought to have him on sometime. He's parachute rescue specialist, Navy. Hey, what are you doing, Miles? Like, I'm reading Seven Pillars of Wisdom. How comes? Like, I'm trying to understand, like, who, what, why, where, when on the whole 9/11 thing. It's like, what's up with these people? And he said, I just read that myself. It's like, wow. It's like, what do you think? It's like, I think this T.E. Lawrence is really dialed in, even though it's 100 years ago. I'm like, yeah. It's like, well, what do you think we should do next? It's like, well, let's go. So I engineered a invitation to YPO Riyadh for a prior book that I had published, and I spoke there, and then they said, wow, he's like awesome. What else can we do for you guys? I said, well, we'd like to go on a 1,000-mile trek through the deserts of Saudi, Jordan, and Syria. I'm like, oh, sure. We'll come meet the prince and we'll give you a nice little letter and you'll be off to the races. And so we did. I mean, Jeddah, Yanbo, Al-Wajh, Aqaba. I'm naming some iconic Arab revolt locations. Wadi Rum, Karak, Chevalier, Jarrah, the train station, like the whole bit. And then, of course, after 20, across the borders on foot.
Yeah.
And now, like, again, curious kid, right? So we do the homework. We're wearing a PLB in our groin. No, that's a PLB in our groin. And that was tied to a KNR policy that, supposedly could extract us within 15 minutes wherever we were. Let's see, we never triggered the beacon. But we did our crossings 31 times on foot, right? 2 Americans in backpacks showing up on foot at the Syrian border.
Yeah.
Hey guys.
Hey guys. What was the prettiest place you thought? I know there's.
Are you being funny or are you being
the whole thing really? But like,
right?
I've been to a few of the places that you guys went, especially like Aqaba, like the Gulf of Aqaba is just freaking ridiculous. It's gorgeous.
So you want real pretty, not okay. So I'm going to go with absolutely Neama Bay, Aliyat, Gulf of Aqaba, etc. Like, it's the Red Sea. It's the end of the bathtub of the Red Sea. And so like, pretty much all the
and
fish
all the countries come together there. So it's
they do. I got some stories there. But yes, I'm a scuba diver, so that's
like one of the best places in the world.
That is, Neama Bay is one of the best. Wadi Rum, that moonscape, which is actually featured in Dune and Star Wars.
Yep.
And it's Mars, basically, on Earth.
Essentially, yeah.
So those sunsets were pretty epic. And then I'm going to toss in, for good measure, place that not many people have seen. It's Crack Chevalier, which is it's the Knight Templars redoubt above. It's the best preserved Crusader castle T.E.
That's
Lawrence actually
in, what is that?
sketched it.
Kingdom of Heaven?
It's
Isn't
in
that in the
Syria. Yeah,
movie?
It's
Yeah.
probably in Kingdom of
Yeah.
Heaven. It's in Syria, and it overlooks Homs and the Lebanon Valley, the entire Levant, all the way to the coast. And wow, you get a real feel of what the Knights Templar and the Knights Hospitalier were up to. And that was basically, look, man, they invented the debit card, right? You give your lands in France,
Yep.
and then we'll give you a card you can punch, and we will escort you all the way to Jerusalem. And you're going to be a much better person for that. So says the Pope, Clement, and we're absolved of all sins, and we can wipe out Jews and Muslims and anybody else that gets in our way, because the Pope said all good. The original jihad, by the way,
Yeah.
right, 1,000 years ago,
Yeah.
and it's Teutonic Knights rolling through with a hotel and debit card system on the way to Jerusalem.
Wow.
Those guys were badass.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. It's one of the coolest eras in history. It's just, yeah, and it just spans so many eons. Then that's the best way to
And
describe
how
it.
did they get any, like they got things done back
They
then,
did.
right?
Just wild.
Like they got things done, and they became, frankly, the largest landholders in France. That's why, whichever king, it's I'm not going to get that one, but I think it's Charles the Fifth and Pope Clement basically reversed themselves and said, like, bad guys. We need to get all this back because, like, France is going broke.
Yeah.
So, watch out when a king and a pope get together, right? That's
Yeah,
the
right.
only
Oh.
thing. That's the only thing the Templars did not
Everybody
make provisions
burns.
for. Yeah.
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 So we're going to shift back a little bit, but like to manufacturing, just kind of close things out here, right? Everybody, it's manufacturing by way of AI though. So everyone talks about labor shortage, right? And as a business owner myself, it's hard to find good people. It's just hard to fill those gaps, and we know it is. So how do you think, how can AI help without like replacing the skilled trades, that kind of thing?
Well, it's impossible to answer that question without qualifying the hell out of it. So first of all, when you talk about the skilled trades, I think they will become more skilled.
Agreed.
Right. They won't waste time on, this part, which is actually suboptimal or broken. They'll be able to identify that quicker. They'll know immediately what the fix is. And this presumes that the operator, the manual laborer, has not been replaced by something that can provide that same thing on a repetitive basis, right? Plumbers got it easy because every problem's different and most of them stink, right?
Yes,
So there are a couple of those that are, probably have a longer run, but they're going to get more and more efficient, right? There are a couple of those that will be replaced. And so I think the answer really is be a curious kid from Syracuse, New York, right?
Yeah.
Like, you want to stick around, start learning, and start learning to learn.
Yeah.
Because it's all going to get faster and faster and faster. And that's why Elon calls it the supersonic tsunami, right?
Yeah.
It's like, it's a 40-foot wall of water of intelligence and efficiency and the rest. And it's coming at you at light speed. So if we're talking about it today, you better start running. And you better start running with the best skills you can acquire, because it's coming at you fast. It just is. It just is.
Yeah. It's the skills for the next generation of manufacturing workers. Like, they've got to learn this stuff. And if you do that, you can survive for sure.
And you know what? It can start so easy. It's back to Reflective for a second. We used to start with like, oh, upload this file, upload that file. Then, do you know what our instructions are starting tomorrow? Our instructions are start talking,
Yeah.
right? And so you talk to our AI, we call it our biographer, and it starts pulling together the timeline, starts pulling together the reflections, right? Well, likewise, start talking to your LLM of preference. It's amazing how many different ways in life there are to optimize. We just get lazy because we learned one way and it's been working and we haven't been caught on it yet. And we just been phoning it in and somebody's paying us for it. And then, you know, it all happens very slowly and then all of a sudden,
Yeah.
right?
It like seems like it seemingly comes out of nowhere, right?
It's,
It
but
never does. It never is out of nowhere, but it seemingly
exactly.
does.
It,
Right?
it, it seems to, as they say, very slowly and then all of a sudden,
I
right?
actually have to go back to Reflecta a second, because I just hit me. Like, do you see Reflecta playing a role in, I guess I'll call it defense supply chains or resilience?
Well, I don't
Like, what
see
are
it.
your
Yeah,
thoughts around that?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see it immediately on defense supply. Come back to me in 3 months. Maybe we'll have a whole
Yeah.
division on that.
I
But
can see it. So I just like,
let me know offline. Tell me. But on resilience, absolutely. So, University of Toronto had a study. And they said, 41% of people that go through family review therapy have positive mental health benefits.
mhm,
Well, effectively, that is what Reflected does for people, both in building a reflection of yourself or someone else, and also experiencing it later on, your family's legacy, your
mhm.
values, etc. And look, we all have rough patches, right? Um, what's it like to be able to talk to somebody that you respect and you revere and or someone from your family
Yeah.
about the issue that you're facing and hear it in their voice based on their experience? That's not resilience per se. It is a tool to access your resilience that's
Yeah.
hidden beneath. And in that way, I think it plays a huge part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what motivates you personally to stay in this fight? I mean, you could probably not, you know what I mean? And you'd be perfectly fine. But what motivates you to stay in the fight?
It's a
Because
great
that's what it
question.
is. It really is. It's just
It boiled down to this, Bennett. If not who,
yeah.
if not us, who, if not us, who, if not now, when? So, in that time in which Adam and I had, thought we might be able to build this, and we hired some people and we put a stick in the ground, it's like 120 days to get to AI4, right? And we saw these reactions of people. It's a lot, actually,
Yeah.
to see the emotional impact and to realize that you've delivered that to people. And, a lot of people, Bennett, they pay us money, they cry, and they thank us.
I love it.
Think about how often
Yeah.
that happens, okay? And so we had imposter syndrome for a little bit, at least I did. It's like, how's a knucklehead from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, despite the fact that he's a curious kid,
Yeah.
end up with this? I I don't have a better phrase for it, but gift for humanity because of
Yeah.
the impact that it has on people. And then we thought, well, gosh, if some knuckleheads kids from San Jose in their grandmother's garage came out with it and threw a lousy avatar with no soul tech and no emotional underpinnings, and if not us, who? If not now, when?
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Um, Two more questions. What what gives you hope about the future of American industry? I know that's a big one,
No,
but
it's ingenuity and curiosity. There's this great book called They Built America. I think it's by Evans. And, back in the day, it was everything from Rockefeller to Edison to just Juan Tripp, who started Pan Am and brought us all
yeah,
around the world, et cetera. And like, who are these guys and gals to think of this stuff
yeah,
and then create businesses out of them? And now you fast forward it, you could probably write the whole book on Mr. Musk, right? If that is contained in a human being and perhaps is unleashed in others, yeah, the future of it is our unbelievable. We got a lot of things that we screw up, but that curiosity and that ingenuity is, kind of second to none worldwide, I think.
mm,
And, the underpinning of your conversation, and of course, the podcast of the audience
yes,
leads me to answer the next level of the question is, so why us versus who else in the world, right? Remember the movie Dune, right? Dune had like the
yeah,
spice, right? An allegory for lots of other things going on.
lots of
So,
other things.
oh yeah. So like, all right, 100 years ago was oil, right? And that was a good run.
Mhm,
Probably going to need it for a while. I'll
mhm,
agree to that. But now we're getting to this stage in which the precious metals that actually built this and
mhm,
lots of other things, the compute power for AI, what AI does to warfare, strategy, medical, etc. It's the big unlock,
yeah, agreed.
right?
Yep.
And so stack them up. Who are the big horses in that race right now? Our US chips, technology, etc. Great start, right?
Yeah.
China, a couple billion people and some technology, right?
Yep.
And quite an interest in precious minerals. They didn't figure out the energy thing. They just cut deals for it.
Exactly.
But hey, those deals get wiped out in about
Well,
15 minutes in
those are the
Venezuela. It's
wrenches
like,
getting lobbed into
just
their
like,
supply
yeah,
chain issues right now.
and
So.
never mind the Belt and Road Initiative.
Mhm.
Like that was kind of wiped out in Venezuela, and it's less than an hour.
Yeah.
But who's number three? You want to posit a guess? Number three today in AI capacity, compute, gigawatts, energy. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
No, but I do know like Mexico's there. And I mean, people would say India, but
Not
I don't,
even close.
yeah, I don't think so. So,
Riyadh.
oh, okay. I mean, that
So
makes sense too,
yeah, so
especially with things like the line and all the things that they've had to create for that,
well,
among other things.
Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who's
Yeah.
basically run the joint, he recently wrote $1 trillion check,
Yeah.
as you do, to a company called Humane, which we happen to love. And Humane is all about energy. They got it.
Yeah.
Compute. They bought it. And where are they headed with it? What consumes more tokens than anything else is video. It's
Yeah.
the stories. And the stories are what we're after. And they can provide our throughput. So Saudi Arabia is number three.
Yeah. Yep. Makes sense. Doesn't shock me 1 ounce.
Every 100 years, man, they make a big
I mean,
bet.
he's a pretty visionary guy. He sees a lot of. I mean, he's
Yeah.
he's a ruler that
So was his
they
great
kinda needed
grandfather
for a while. Yeah, exactly. But
yeah.
he doesn't seem like he's one of the guys that's. What's the old adage? I rode a camel. that, and then my son drove a Range Rover, and then my grandson will ride a camel again, but he's not riding a camel for sure. So
Not yet. No,
not yet.
Not yet.
So,
Not yet.
so what's one thing you want listeners, especially veterans, builders, and entrepreneurs, to take away from this conversation?
Well, here's my ask. Go talk to my dad. Talk to Arthur on the Reflekta platform. If you're into ballet, talk to Virginia. And imagine, ask him about me, ask him about this, ask him about anything we talked about, ask him about 7 pillars, ask him about selling insurance, ask him about Buddy Hackett jokes.
Mm-hmm.
We had a rambling conversation for sure. He was an insurance salesman. We will not stop talking. But imagine what something like that could do for your family, your military history, your great-grandchild, who you haven't met and you probably won't, but may be curious about where he came from, what Grandpa did. And he's not going upstairs to the attic to get down the shoebox and blow off the dust and sort through the Polaroid pictures and try to piece together your story. It was good at the time. The shoebox doesn't work anymore.
It doesn't work.
Right? So talk to Arthur and imagine what something like this could do for you or your company or your military organization, your veterans, your family's story, and think of what that story could mean through the generations that follow you. That's my ask. And you can get it done at Reflekta.
Absolutely. Amazing. Tell people again where they can find you.
It's, go to Reflekta.ai. That's spelled with a K, by the way. There's another backstory.
Yeah, I'll make sure I have everything in the show.
Yeah. But yeah, Reflekta is the place. And the Google machine will tell you where else to go if you really want to know more about Miles. And we have follow-up to our book, A Line in the Sand, which is called Havana Familia, another geopolitical hotspot. So that will make for some good reading sometime the end of February.
Yeah, I think we'll need to get you back on.
That would be our pleasure.
Talk about that stuff too.
Yeah, it'd be great.
Miles, I appreciate your time.
Bennett,
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Carry the fire through shadows and storm. Voices of yesterday guiding us on. The echoes of duty, the call we still hear. Building tomorrow with courage, not fear. Stand your ground, keep the watch through the night. Guarding tomorrow where freedom's alight. Through every trial, the truth will endure. Full spectrum frontiers, steady and sure. From fields of the past to horizons unknown, the seeds that we plant are the future we own. Stories of valor, of lessons we've learned, a legacy carried, a torch ever burned. Stand your